Have you ever wondered, if hell is real, why would a loving God send anyone there? Why would a creator who is supposed to be full of mercy create a place of endless pain with fire, demons, and no escape? Today we're going to explore a powerful truth that has been buried for centuries. The truth about hell, fire, and what judgment really means. You might be surprised to know that much of what we believe about hell doesn't actually come from the Bible, but from fear, misunderstanding, and centuries of church tradition. So let's go on a journey. Let's go back in time. Let's uncover the deeper meaning behind the fire and judgment we've been taught to fear. The hell that religion built. Let's start with what most of us have heard since childhood. Be good or you'll go to hell. Don't sin or you'll burn forever. God is watching, and He will punish you if you do wrong. This image of hell, a dark, fiery place where bad souls go after death, has been used for thousands of years to scare people into obedience. In this version, hell is a prison run by Satan, with demons torturing souls and fire that never ends. But here's the truth. This version of hell? It's not from Jesus. It's not even from the Bible. It's from man-made religion. In fact, the word hell itself doesn't appear in the original Hebrew or Greek text the way we think. Where then did this image come from? Gehenna, the fire Jesus spoke of. When Jesus spoke about fire, He often mentioned a place called Gehenna. Now here's what most people don't know. Gehenna was a real place just outside of Jerusalem. It was a valley where, many years before Jesus, people did terrible things, like sacrificing children to false gods. Because of its dark history, Gehenna became known as a cursed place. By Jesus' time, it had become the city's garbage dump. Fires were constantly burning there to destroy trash and waste. Rotting food, dead animals, even criminals who weren't given proper burials. The fire in Gehenna wasn't eternal punishment, it was purification. So when Jesus said, "It's better to lose a hand than be thrown into Gehenna," He wasn't saying, "You'll burn forever in a spirit world." He was saying, if you keep living in sin, your life will become like that garbage dump, full of suffering, destruction, and loss. It was a symbolic warning, not a threat of eternal torture. Fire as a symbol, not punishment but purification. In the Bible, fire isn't always a symbol of punishment. More often, it's a symbol of refining and purifying. Think of how gold is purified. It's placed in fire, not to destroy it, but to remove impurities. Just like that, fire in Scripture is often used to describe how God cleanses the soul. In the book of Malachi it says, "He will sit as a refiner and purifier of silver." This isn't about torture, it's about healing. It's about burning away what doesn't belong so the real beauty can shine through. Even the Apostle Paul wrote, "Everyone's work will be tested by fire." What? Not to hurt people, but to show what's real. To show what was built on truth and what was built on lies. So what if the fire we feared all this time is actually love in disguise? What if it's the fire that wakes us up? The true meaning of judgment. Let's talk about judgment. Another word that often scares people. When we hear judgment, we imagine God as an angry judge sending people to heaven or hell like a courtroom decision. But the original word for judgment in Greek is krisis, which means a moment of decision, a turning point, or a revealing of truth. It's not about punishment. It's about clarity. Imagine a mirror being placed in front of you. You see yourself clearly. No filters. No masks. That's what judgment truly is. The moment you see the truth about yourself, your actions, your life. It's not God trying to hurt you. It's God helping you see so you can change and return to love. So what is hell then? If hell is not a place of eternal fire and demons, then what is it? Some say, hell is a state of being. It's the pain we feel when we're separated from truth, from love, from God. It's when we live in fear, when we live in hate, when we forget who we really are. It's not a place you go when you die. It's a reality you create when you live without light. And just like fire, this inner suffering is not meant to destroy you. It's meant to wake you up. What the early Christians really believed, the forgotten teachings. Before there were mega churches, cathedrals, and strict doctrines. Before Christianity became an empire with rules, bishops, and punishments, there was something much more mystical, much more loving. A version of Christianity that most people today have never heard of. Let's go back to the first few centuries after Jesus. Back when small groups of believers met in quiet homes, caves, and simple gatherings. These early Christians didn't focus on fear. They didn't preach eternal hellfire. They talked about light, about restoration, about how God's love was so powerful, it would eventually reach every single soul. Yes, even the worst ones. This belief was called apokatastasis, which means restoration of all things. The teachings of Origen. One of the most famous early Christian teachers was Origen of Alexandria. He lived in the 2nd and 3rd centuries, just a few generations after Jesus. He was brilliant, peaceful, and deeply spiritual. And he believed something that shocked later church leaders. Origen taught that hell was not eternal. He believed that when we die, our souls go through a process, a kind of spiritual purification. A place where we are confronted with our own darkness, not to be tortured but to be healed. In Origen's view, even the devil himself could one day be restored to light. Because God's love is that strong, stronger than sin, stronger than evil, stronger than any darkness. To him, fire was never about punishment. It was medicine for the soul. He believed that in the end God would be all in all, that nothing and no one would be lost forever. The Gnostics, another forgotten voice. Around the same time, there were other groups of early Christians called the Gnostics. They didn't believe in hell either, not the way we think of it. To the Gnostics, hell was ignorance, forgetting who you are, forgetting the divine spark inside of you. They believed that the soul came from the realm of light, but had fallen into a world of illusion. They said that judgment was the soul waking up, remembering the truth. And fire? That was the fire of knowledge, awareness, and transformation. The Gnostics were eventually wiped out by the institutional church. Their books were destroyed, their names erased. Why was this teaching buried? Now you might ask, if this teaching was so beautiful and loving, why haven't we heard of it? The answer is painful, but honest. As Christianity grew in power, it became tied to governments, empires, and control. Leaders realized that fear was a better tool than love when it came to ruling the masses. And what better fear than the fear of hell? So they started twisting the message. They made hell sound permanent. They painted God as a judge with a list, sending some to heaven and the rest to burn forever. And those who didn't agree, they were silenced. Origen's writings were later condemned by church councils. His followers were labeled heretics. And for over 1,000 years, the church taught a message of fear, instead of a message of healing. The Gnostics were eventually wiped out by the institutional church. Their books were destroyed, their names erased. But now, the veil is lifting. People are asking questions. People are remembering the truth, that God is not a monster. God is not a torturer, but God is love. So what does all this mean for us today? It means that the idea of eternal hell was not the original message of Jesus. It was not what the earliest Christians believed, and it was not the heart of God. The early church was full of voices that believed in healing, not punishment, in restoration, not rejection, in a God who burns away the lies, so only the truth remains. You are not here to be condemned. You are here to wake up, to remember who you really are. And yes, if you've walked in darkness, if you've made mistakes, if your soul feels lost, there is still light, there is still time, and there is still hope. Just like the early Christians believed, God's love is bigger than any hell. If this message brought light to your heart, share it. Let someone know that they no longer need to be afraid. Like, subscribe, and join us on this journey of awakening. Because the more we lift the veil, the more we remember who we really are.